In 2024, NASCAR is returning to the Indianapolis Oval for the first time since 2020, 30 years after the First Brickyard 400. The story of NASCAR getting to Indy is an interesting one, and the First Brickyard 400 was nothing short of one of the most influential races in NASCAR history. A lot was at stake: bragging rights, a win in front of 250,000 fans, and not to mention a check of $613,000 for the winning car. Let's dive into the story of NASCAR's first race at the most historic track in racing. For about 80 years, the only race held at Indianapolis had been the Indy 500. But conversations started emerging in 1991 after a certain article was posted in the Indianapolis Star. Open-wheel legend A.J. Foyt was filming a commercial for Sears Tools, but during the commercial shoot, track president Tony George was offered by Foyt to take a few laps in the stock car. A lot of people assume this is when Tony knew that he had to get stock cars to Indy. On June 22, 1992, NASCAR hosted what they claimed to be an unofficial tire test at Indy. This didn't stop more than 50,000 race fans pouring in to watch 9 cars just make laps at the track. Drivers like Darrell Waltrip were humbled to take laps at Indy. "I'm going over there for 2 days, not to see how fast I can go. When I'm older, I can sit by the fireplace and tell my kids and grandkids, yeah, I drove Indy a couple of times." Rusty Wallace admitted he rushed his team to get the car ready so he could be the first NASCAR driver to take a stock car around the track. On day 2, the drivers put on a small exhibition race for the enormous crowd. Of course, speculation of a NASCAR event was at an all-time high and would eventually be confirmed in April of 1993. Later that year in August, another test would be held with more than 30 drivers. The recently retired Richard Petty made 4 laps in the test just to be able to say that he took laps at Indy. However, this session didn't go as smoothly as the first. Kenny Wallace lost control of his car off of turn 4 and suffered a vicious crash. Wallace would break his right shoulder in the wreck. Additionally, there was a 4-car pileup after John Andretti lost control of his car. For the First Brickyard 400, a record 86 drivers were on the entry list for 43 spots. Quite literally, half of the drivers who qualified didn't make the race. Several names that you recognize missed the race, like Joe Ruttman, Dick Trickle, Randy LaJoie, and many more. A.J. Foyt would make the race in what would be his last NASCAR Cup Series race. Rick Mast and Dale Earnhardt locked out the front row, with second-year driver Jeff Gordon right behind in third. Gordon was fresh off his first career win just 2 months earlier in the Coca-Cola 600. Now, it was time to start the first ever Brickyard 400.
A new tradition begins as the green flag is about to come out to signal the beginning of the inaugural Brickyard 400. And the green is out.
Rick Mast jumped out to the lead of the race as Earnhardt brushed the wall on the exit of turn 4. As the drivers passed the line on lap 3, Jeff Gordon looked to the inside of Mast and took over first place. It wouldn't take long for the first yellow to come out. As the next time by, debris brought the caution out. This was for 1985 Indy 500 champion Danny Sullivan, whose left side window flew off his car and landed on the track. Gordon retained the lead on the restart, and after 6 laps, the first accident of the day occurred. It was a pretty routine accident, as Jimmy Spencer just blew a left front tire entering turn 3. On the restart, it was Jeff Bodine who flexed his muscles a little bit. Gordon remained in the lead, but he wasn't letting him get too far away. On lap 22, on the exit of turn 2, Bodine got a huge run on Gordon and got past him for the lead. Bodine had been one of the fastest cars all season, but was very inconsistent between reliability and crashes. Winning the first race at Indy would go a long way in salvaging his season. 33 laps in, Gordon drove into the pits behind Bodine and set off the first sequence of pit stops. Bodine responded a lap later, but Gordon ended up jumping him. Todd Bodine, Bill Elliott, Greg Sachs, Dale Earnhardt, Ted Musgrave, and Harry Gant all put their names into the record books by staying out longer and leading a lap or two during the cycle. AJ Foyt wanted to stay out as long as possible in an effort to lead a single lap, but he ran out of fuel on lap 46. Luckily, he was able to coast to pit road. For a long time, there was nothing major that affected the lead of the race, but there was good racing throughout the field. However, there was a very close call as the second round of green flag stops started. As Jeff Gordon was making his way to pit road, second place man Jeff Bodine was attempting to pass Gordon on the inside. The two leaders brushed against each other, nearly ending their races. Gordon's front left tire was rubbed flat, and his team frantically searched for any damage. This resulted in a long stop, and by the end of the cycle, Bodine had jumped Gordon. This was a close call that both drivers got away with. Another debris caution came out, and another restart resulted in some more battling between Bodine and Gordon. About 10 laps later, Mike Chase and Dave Marcus had a vicious wreck on lap 92. There isn't a clear replay of the accident, but it appears that Marcus got loose, went up the track, and collected Chase into the outside wall. Both cars were destroyed and done for the day. Things really got mixed up under caution, as Brett Bodine took only 2 tires and jumped from 4th to 1st. Gordon lost a couple of places, while Jeff Bodine lost only 1 spot and would start alongside his brother. Brett Bodine jumped to the lead, but was quickly caught by his brother. By turn 4, the pass had been completed, but Brett wasn't done there. He tagged the bumper of Jeff and spun him in front of the field. The rest of the drivers took avoiding action and were able to miss him for the most part, until Bobby Labonte smacked into his right front. It was a wild story. The Bodine brothers just made contact while racing for the lead of the First Brickyard 400. However, the story doesn't end there. Years later, Brett had this to say on the situation. We get down into turn 3, and Jeff gets down to my back bumper, and he bumps me, gets me out of the groove. I just saved it, touched the wall slightly coming off of turn 3. We came down into turn 4, and I returned the favor. I gave him a shot in the back bumper and turned him around, spun him, and he hit the wall. If there was ever a moment you wish you could take something back, whether it came out of our mouth or made a gesture we shouldn't have made, that is number 1 on my list. I wish I could take that back. I can't. I couldn't do it at the moment, and it's history. What pursued after that was a lot of family issues that lingered on for a long time. There were unknown family issues in the family, and Brett had taken those issues onto the track. He purposely wrecked his own brother for what would have been the biggest win of either of their careers. For Jeff, it would have been the staple win of his career, and it looked like he may very well have won that race. After the accident, the brothers wouldn't speak for 2 years. It wouldn't be until their father passed away that they patched things up and put the feud behind them. Anyway, getting back to the race, Brett maintained the lead for the next restart, but Gordon quickly passed him. Without Jeff, it was obvious that this was Gordon's race to lose. However, 25 laps later, it was the race's final caution that shook things up one final time. Jeff Brabham got into the wall and collected Jimmy Hensley, ending both of their days. Rusty Wallace won the race off pit road, but he would immediately be passed on the restart by Gordon. The two were side by side for several laps in a wild duel for the lead. However, it would be Gordon who prevailed. Ernie Irvin was lurking behind and managed to get past Gordon on lap 140. The pair of Irvin and Gordon were nose to tail for the remainder of the race, and it was a battle for the ages. 5 laps later, Gordon took back the lead, and in another 5 laps, it was back to Irvin. Finally, Gordon would make the winning pass for the lead with just 5 laps remaining. He took advantage of Irvin missing the corner. Irvin was actually experiencing a mechanical problem and had to come to pit road. This propelled Brett Bodine to second and cemented Jeff Gordon's epic win.
And Gordon is about to write his name in the racing history books. Years from today, when 79 stock car races have been run here, we'll remember the name. Jeff Gordon, winner of the inaugural Brickyard 400. Man, oh man, oh man. Jeff is screaming on his radio, back to the pit crew. Oh my God, I did it! I did it!
Even today, watching this finish, I get the chills. The announcers Bob Jenkins and Benny Parsons captured the moment incredibly as the superstar in the making won in front of his home crowd with more than 250,000 fans in the stands. I don't think we will ever see a race outside of the Daytona 500 that felt as big and mattered as much as this race. Everyone wanted to win. Every team threw everything they had to win, and Gordon did it as a 22-year-old. This win played a huge part in creating the superstar that he eventually became, and will live on as one of the most significant races of all time. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are new. That's it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.